listening to CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. The words and opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management of CaveRadioBroadcasting.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. Excuse me. Cat's killing me over here. Today's Thursday, November 3rd, year of our Lord 2016. This will be the last Down the Rabbit Hole before the presidential election.
Yeah.
Very trying times, very trying times. Well, it's Gen Pop Media production, and it will be, no matter what president's in. It's just how long.
Yeah. When will the paddy wagon pull up and take us away after the show?
You know, if Clinton gets in, then Obama will be making sure that, they're vetting the content on the internet.
Yeah, they'll be like, that wasn't just one thing. It was 2 hours of hate speech. You guys are all going to jail.
Yeah, can't kill me with it. Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry, but that's hilarious.
Oh, my gosh. Well, and my friend who sent it to me is an atheist.
That's so funny.
But it's a picture of a Honda Accord, and Jesus is standing in front of it. And it says, Jesus drove a Honda, but didn't speak about it, quote, for I did not speak of my own accord. John 12:49.
It's ridiculous.
Bible humor.
That's awesome.
The Bible humor can be funny. I saw one that had, it was like a bay, like just water. And then it had a sign that was like out in the water. And it said no running, and the heading was "Behave, Jesus."
Nice.
I got a kick out of that one.
Did you see the one? Like somebody must have been walking through CVS, and there was a picture of a shelf, and it's got like a bunch of bottles of red wine on it. And you know the signs that hang above the aisles that tell you what's in each aisle. Well, obviously somebody didn't change the sign when they stocked the wine because it said water. And someone took a picture of it and said, "Oh my God, Jesus
he's been
was
here."
That's pretty good.
Nice.
You know, there was one thing that was killing me on my Facebook thread with my friends and family that, between my liberal friends and my conservative friends posting either pro-Hillary or pro-Trump stuff, there was one thing that my cousin posted that it was the perfect moment of levity that I need to stop from taking my own life prior to this election, which was, has anybody ever heard of poopery?
No.
I know what potpourri is.
Oh, my God. It's this chemically developed air freshener that before you go take a dump, you put a couple spritzes in the toilet, and it puts up a barrier between what goes in the water and what's above the water, okay?
Okay.
But the commercial is unbelievable. Funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Never heard of it.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I like the that goes really well with the toilet seat that's got a built-in scale. So you can see like what it weighs. That's awesome.
Before and after.
I totally want that.
Oh, that's
We're gonna have
awesome.
competitions.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah,
We
like
could.
1.4 pounds.
This is gross.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
You know, every now and then I must admit I have when an incredibly impressive one comes out.
Weigh yourself.
Come on.
No, I have snapped pictures and emailed them to my wife.
Stop. This is
You guys are so
exactly why I'm comfortable with never getting married. Ever.
When you know what? When you find someone who also finds that funny,
Yeah, no thanks.
there is a connection.
Oh, that's actually pretty lucky because,
Yeah.
my wife also thinks that's funny.
There's
I don't do that, but they do that.
You've
wonder if it's
developed a
Asian.
connection.
It might be an Asian thing. I don't know. That was trigger a microaggression. Sorry. Hate speech.
You're in timeout.
Not only to Asians, but to poop pictures as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's the part they think's funny.
The Snickers crisper is offended. Right now.
It is.
Oh my! But I feel like it's not, so it must not be.
Boy.
So what's going on? What's going
I don't
on
know.
in your lives, man? I mean, how are you guys handling this election stress?
I've been in robot world all week, trying to ignore it and really trying to be patient and nice and not a nasty person.
It's hard.
It's really, really hard
It's
because
hard.
I have about had it
Yeah, me too.
with things that are so ridiculously ignorant, and I just have to take a deep breath sometimes and not choke people that I used to like. There
Yeah.
are literally, and I think I have good grounds for this, people that I won't go out of my way to talk to anymore because I feel like they're actually dangerous.
Yeah,
they are. I mean, it's unbelievable.
There's a handful of people that I used to see in passing, and now I want to avoid them.
Yeah, and I probably will because I think if for anything, for me, it's to just avoid being in a situation where I have to bite my tongue and not say something nasty and mean. I'll just avoid it because I can't even be like, yeah, you have a point, but because no, you don't have a point. I want to hold your head underwater.
Yeah.
For like at least 4.5 minutes.
In the toilet.
Just to make sure that, it's just,
picturesque
so
poos.
I'll just avoid it and not go around it because I just don't, we don't have anything in common. There's nothing to talk about. And some of the stuff is so outlandish that you can't even try to explain it to
what
folks.
I love is one of the people in my life that's making me miserable and that I occasionally feel the need to just start posting on Facebook, which is there's nothing good comes out of Facebook, and I just love it because this person is completely anti-Trump and wants to, it's like Trump didn't put down the toilet seat in a McDonald's in 1931.
Right, yeah.
How can this man be president? He can't put down a toilet seat. And, but then again, if this dude got his way, Bernie would have someone put down the toilet seat for him, and the state would pay for it. Yet will excuse, it's like, okay, well, he's posting the rape allegations against Trump, which are obviously completely trumped up. Oh, wait a minute, pun.
Yeah, pun intended.
And it's like, whatever. Okay, so yeah, if he's guilty of that, the guy should burn. He should burn in hell, not only rot in jail. But I just find it convenient when this stuff comes out, when there's been nothing like that about him in forever. And he wants to put Trump on a cross over this, but completely dismisses the fact that the FBI has like 5 ongoing investigations into Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, and Bill Clinton.
Well,
he can explain all that away.
Well, that's all a conspiracy. So it's all that's the vast right wing conspiracy.
Yes.
No, it's actually a criminal investigation. Yeah. Which is not normal for a presidential election.
Have you listened to Trey Gowdy at all?
Yeah.
I'm kind of liking him.
Yeah, he's cool. He's the one that grilled Comey. They're not playing around, dude.
Yeah.
These guys aren't playing around. It's for real. It's a real investigation. And we'll see how this pans out, but it's going to be interesting to see how this is handled if she wins the election. It'll literally be almost 4 years of nothing good. Not that it's going to be good anyway, but...
she's going to win, and then she's going to get indicted.
Maybe.
And then President Obama is going to... Then something's going to blow up.
Well, then Tim...
He'll just pardon her.
Well, and this is actually
he will pardon her, but something in the meantime...
And then all the same people who thought it was, that she didn't do anything wrong anyway, that think she's for women's rights and gay rights and all these things that she's absolutely not for, but lies to you and says she is. Well, those same people would be like, well, but, she was let off.
You know what, though?
Presidential pardon.
But Satan's having a field day right now, you guys, because right now he's just, he's dividing everybody with this. The point is that when it comes to politics, everybody's perception is their own reality. Right. And you're not going to be able to change it. You're just not.
Even when
not even with truth. I'm learning this the hard way.
Oh, yeah. Dude, forget about truth.
Yeah, I know.
Forget about truth.
But here's, it's an interesting thing you bring up about her being indicted. There's not enough time for Obama to pardon her, and I don't think he would anyway because he hates her. And I think that, if anything, this would be the plan anyway because, keep in mind, Tim Kaine is a huge Obama guy, dude. And if that went down that way, and this is actually one of the conspiracies, if you will.
That's one of the scenarios.
That is actually kind of like, maybe. So if that happens, then Tim Kaine becomes president.
Yeah, but not if she's not sworn in.
No.
It's if the electoral
mid-December.
college...
Mid-December. Inauguration is a formality.
Right.
In mid-December, when the electoral college concludes their vote, that is when she's president.
There's a window of time.
Yeah.
There's a very specific window of time to where if something happens to her...
That's right.
if something happens to her in this specific window of time, he remains president. That's why I'm telling you.
Before December. Yeah, if something happens between Election Day and like December 15th or something like this around this time, 12th. Anyway, that's the gray area where Obama's still president. But once the Electoral College concludes their election, which is usually mid-December,
then it would be Kane.
Well, then Kane would be, if she gets impeached or whatever, indicted, drops dead, whatever it is. Then Tim Kaine becomes, and that's a scarier proposition than Hillary Clinton.
Really? He's
Really.
actually more vile than she is?
Well, because I would say at least she's got her own agenda. He's just bending with whatever the Obama agenda is, clearly. And he's a good little
Did you see
lapdog.
that guy standing up to anybody?
Who?
Kane.
Any of them? No,
No.
not at all.
That's who's more dangerous, is someone who is completely a puppet.
He is a lapdog. The other thing I wanted to go back to is the rape allegation. I find this interesting. I don't know. Someone tell me if I'm off here, but there was supposed to be this woman that was going to come forward that was going to claim that Trump raped her when she was 13.
Mm-hmm.
You heard about this, right?
Yeah.
Her identity is concealed because she's going as Jane Doe
And she's in hiding.
and hiding. So, but at the last minute, she was going to come forward and tell her story. She decided to not, because she's been getting all these death threats.
But
But how's she getting death?
But nobody knows who she is.
no one who she is, yeah.
So, this whole thing is fake. It's so fake that, and really, what's sad about it, in my mind, is that here we are a week before, at the time, roughly, for the election, and that's the last. We're not going to talk about issues or his positions on policy or any of this. We're going to go ahead and trump up some. I hate using that word now. Yeah. Ruined it. Totally ruined it. Thanks, Trump. With some fake rape allegation. That's what they got. This is what they got. Instead of let's talk about his foreign policy stance.
Don't forget about the fact that he talked derogatorily about women 11 years ago.
Yeah, well, I know that's pretty.
There was
terrible.
that toilet seat incident in 1931.
I think that's the worst one. That's the worst one. Was there McDonald's in 1931? See, that's even a bigger conspiracy.
Yeah,
that's Hillary's.
Well, I feel like there was McDonald's in 1931.
Oh man, I hate it.
We got a whole new gender identity.
I'm so tired of this. So tired of it.
Yeah, I was listening to the last week's show today. You said the same thing. You're all full of anxiety,
tired of
to
it.
Get this over.
Yeah, I mean, I do. Yeah.
Do you feel like your own vision of what the future holds is up in the air until we know?
Oh yeah.
No.
Has that ever been the case in a presidential election?
Not quite like this.
Not like this.
Not quite like this. Not quite like this.
I mean, the end game is the same. The end game is the same. It's the timetable.
It's when.
It's the timetable.
Yeah, it's pretty scary, man. I mean, there's a lot. You look at the whole, check the weather, right, of the world right now. It's pretty scary, man. And you have our presidents out now, our current president out there campaigning for Hillary, and he sounds like a fool.
Yeah, they even
have you listened to any of his?
They pulled him back after the.
God, he sounds like an idiot.
Well, he's sounded like an idiot for 8 years.
I know, but right now there's so much going on around the world right now. Where look at you got, and I hate to say it, but this nutbag in the Philippines, he's thrown in with China, dude. He's thrown in. He's making statements like, "Oh, it's China, Russia, Iran, and us against the world." It's crazy what's going on. Russia's lining the border of Poland with missiles and all this. I mean, yeah, all this stuff going on. Africa is on fire, and we have our presidents out there talking about reality shows and how it's insane. I think that it's very scary.
Did you hear the speech that filmmaker Michael Moore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not.
It's the first thing he ever said that didn't make me throw up in my mouth.
That was another thing. That
Other
made
than
me,
looking at him?
You know how we were talking about things that make you think Jesus is coming soon? That's another one right
Here,
there.
let's play that. It's 4 minutes. He's not pro-Trump or pro-Clinton. He's simply giving an observation of why he thinks a certain person is going to win this election. And he's a great voice for what the common dude feels, but has no platform to say it because you can't say it on mainstream media. You can't. So, you guys want to hear this thing? It's 4 minutes.
Sure.
All right, let's hope. Hopefully, this picks it up. This is from the Jimmy Dore show. Our friends over there.
Because I know a lot of people in Michigan that are planning to vote for Trump, and they're not. They don't necessarily like him that much, and they don't necessarily agree with him. They're not racist and rednecks, or they're actually pretty decent people. And so I wanted to sort of, after talking to a number of them, I wanted to write this. Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. And it was music to the ears of people in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the Brexit states. You live here in Ohio.
We got to talk about that in a minute.
Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. And on November 8th, Election Day, although they lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone. The car's been repoed. They haven't had a real vacation in years. They're stuck with the shitty Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a fucking Percocet.
I forgot to say it gets a little salty.
Lost everything they had, except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote. They might be penniless, they might be homeless, they might be fucked over and fucked up. It doesn't matter because it's equalized on that day. A millionaire has the same number of votes as the person without a job. One. And there's more of the former middle class than there are in the millionaire class. So on November 8th, the dispossessed will walk into the voting booth, be handed a ballot, close the curtain, and take that lever, or felt pen or touchscreen, and put a big fucking X in the box by the name of the man who has threatened to upend and overturn the very system that has ruined their lives. Donald J. Trump. They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump. The media hates Trump after they loved him and created him and now hate him. Thank you, media. The enemy of my enemy is who I'm voting for on November 8th. Yes, on November 8th, you, Joe Blow, Steve Blow, Bob Blow, Billy Blow.
We get the gist of it.
That is something interesting he brings up with when he names the states, and this is something I can't get my head wrapped around. Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. He didn't point out Wisconsin, but Wisconsin, even Minnesota. These are huge union states. UAW, Teamsters, AFL-CIO, et cetera, et cetera. How is it? And this is something I cannot get my head, because I am friends, a family that are very intelligent people Union members have been for life, multi-generational, you name it, right? And anyone that's from this part of the country understands what I'm talking about. How is it that they can blindly support, because the union told them to, an individual that supports something much worse than NAFTA ever could accomplish? And that is what she calls a free trade hemisphere. That would literally expand NAFTA from the very tippy top of Canada to the very bottom of South America. This is her dream. She doesn't hold, this is not a secret. If you think that the result of NAFTA, and this is something you can find, it's documented, you know that almost somewhere between 70 and 80,000 factories have closed in this country alone as a direct result of NAFTA. What do you think an open hemisphere would do? Yet, the unions get behind the Clinton-Kane ticket, when clearly what's going to end up happening is this is going to break the unions more than anything that's ever happened before, ever. So this is something I cannot get I just don't understand this. I don't get it.
Well, we're in an open world economy now. And it's not because things like NAFTA were passed. That certainly sped up what was happening. Global trade in and of itself is not good or bad for America. If what is not good is the inequality of that trade. So when the United States makes a product and we are shipping it into other countries to be sold by their retailers, those countries are slapping what some call a tax or a tariff.
That's right.
Onto our products, pricing us in a sense out of competition. When products are shipped into the United States from other nations, we are not matching that tariff, which puts American manufacturers at an incredible disadvantage because we've got minimum wage laws and we've got a lot of other workers' protection rights that exist, whereas a lot of nations don't. So they have cheaper labor, they can produce, and at the end of the day, you're not a good business person if you don't get your steel from the cheapest source possible. And because we weren't putting those tariffs on imported steel, for instance, we lost the very states that we brought up at the beginning of this, the Pennsylvanias, the Ohios. This was the heart of America's manufacturing. This was the belt of...
Right, and the result is they incentivize taking their organization, even headquartering it in foreign countries, and taking the manufacturing to Mexico, which is the big one with NAFTA. And it killed everything. I
saw the presentation that if you're familiar with Carrier, like air conditioning units, I actually watched the speech where I think it was about 1,400 of their employees were gathered around as, some target on his head. A senior middle-level manager was the one issuing the news because the chairman of the board doesn't come down to give these kinds of presentations.
Oh, hell no.
And he basically just factually lays out in very simple terms. He used a few big words, but to summarize this entire "you're all fired" speech, he said, look, the bottom line is we can make this stuff so much cheaper in Mexico and deliver it right back here to Indiana and sell it much more economically to us than if we had you guys making it. Now, if there were something in place that would say, hey, any products sold in the United States coming manufactured from abroad, there needs to be a penalty, a tariff, a tax, something that is placed on them that will equalize the economies. And that's what's not been in place, and it's
upside down.
Well, we're
right. Yeah, it's upside down. We get our stuff gets taxed, but then
it's complete reversal.
Right.
And you've got a bunch of politicians that really they don't understand economics. They don't understand that America is nothing more than a monopoly game, and they're so focused on keeping that monopoly game running that they're completely unaware of the fact that it's a game within a greater reality, and they've been being used, and it's their ignorance and their love of avarice probably that allows them to be what's the word I'm looking for? In a sense, betrayers of.
But what did the Democrats do for the unions?
That's my point. Are
they just dumping more money into the
Are you
Republicans?
talking about the history? I mean,
why do unions vote Democratic?
because the unions are the ones who organized the Democratic Party back when FDR got elected.
The Democratic Party
has
has flip-flopped,
but
since the days of FDR and Kennedy.
Well, yeah, the
They've
difference
completely
between
changed their agenda.
the
Why are they
difference
still
between the
supporting that
Democratic
party?
Party and the Republican Party
There's no
now,
difference.
there's really no difference, just in name, really. Maybe a few issues that are the same issues as always, abortion.
Because I'll tell you what, I mean, if John F. Kennedy was running today, I'd vote for him. I don't care what his party is.
right.
Look,
Yeah.
the main you've got to.
No, I mean, but that's the answer. It's history, and there's a lot of, and then you had the Teamsters. I mean, that whole thing, and so the unions historically have been loyal to the unions.
But it's very interesting to me because the same people will, and I'm not trying to put them down or insult them. I'm just trying to figure this out because I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Because the very man who signed NAFTA
Is Democrat.
is they're going to put him back
Yeah.
in the White House in the form of the first lady,
man,
whatever,
first man.
whatever he's going to be. But I mean, it's so really. Is this just are they just being used now, like all the other groups, as a voter block?
Well,
because
that's all Democrats do.
well, I that's true, but really, when you look at it, if she were to implement this dream of hers, where you dissolve borders, and this is not even debatable, you cannot have a nation without borders, then create a free trade hemisphere where it's just yay, whatever. I mean, it's hippie BS in my opinion, but that will kill the unions. That'll be the last nail in the coffin. Yeah. It will. I mean, they're already broken down to where most of them are in receivership. They're bankrupt.
You have right to work.
But that doesn't do anything to the union.
Well,
look,
that's a farce. It just means you can't be forced to be.
The
in
unions
the union.
have always been aligned with the left, the Democratic left, because that typically is the party of the middle class. And what are their slogans? It's things like raising the minimum wage, which on a micro level seems like a great idea to a dude who's making $10 an hour at XYZ factory, because all of a sudden the new minimum wage, his income's going to be at $12 an hour, and he's thinking, oh, wow, this is a raise.
Except he forgets that.
Not understanding that the trickle-down effect, over time, in a few more months.
The unions are part of the problem.
It's feel-good nonsense.
I mean, I agree that there was a time when the unions were absolutely necessary. There was a time when manufacturing was taking advantage of the workers, but like everything else in the United States, now it's done a 180. And the unions are just a microcosm of our government because the unions only exist to sustain themselves.
Well, what's ended up happening is the unions have become, and I'm not really anti-union by any means, but I'll call it for what it is. It's literally a labor corporation, and it's inserted itself in between companies and the workers.
That's
you think the unions aren't costing American consumers more money?
They are.
And that's the thing,
Right.
Howard.
And the government is costing us more money too because all the crazy
they
regulations and restrictions they put on our plants. I mean, I admit some of them are absolutely necessary, but still, you have all these regulations and all these people justifying their jobs, and it all adds more money to the cost of producing a product in the United States.
In essence, I believe on many levels they've become what they started out fighting against.
Right.
Which is the natural progression.
And that's
of
literally
things.
how organizations across continents, across time, it's the same story. They got too Howard is right. There was a time when they were needed. People were being forced to work all day. If you were a child, you could be working 12-hour shifts 7 days a week.
Sure.
There was no. The left has always been the party that reaches out to let's give time to pregnant mothers and this and that, whereas the Republicans have been associated with the owners of capital. that's gotten so absolutely grayed down. And it's because in a lot of ways unions became, in a sense, too successful. And, I've been on both sides of this as a CEO and as someone that has flip-flopped on, viewpoints, what is the proper way to proceed in something like this. But there was a time, I remember, this is late 80s, early 90s, where a welder at the Ford Motor Company could earn 6 figures a year. Now that, in my opinion, is a recipe for disaster. It might be great in the moment, but what is the end result of that reality that was created by these incredibly powerful unions that would threaten to...
It's fine if the market bears that. But the problem is you lock it in with a contract, and now if the market no longer bears that, you can't touch it. Right? So now it becomes,
that's what I say. Unions,
right.
They became too successful.
They became what they started out fighting against.
And the corporations, then, their answer to that was, you know what? Let's just stop fighting let's just leave them all. Let's just stop trying to win this group over. We'll just go overseas. We'll start over the way it was in 1920 in the United States. They're 30 years away from organizing their labor to protect their own labor force.
Yeah. It's just a very strange...
And by the same token,
headspace.
The unions are absolutely political in nature, and when they see a greater good, they will screw their union members.
Of course.
And I speak from experience on this because my mother was a lifelong AFSCME member, okay? And when they closed Wayne County Hospital, they closed it illegally, okay? They were not, William Lucas did not have the right nor the authority to close that hospital, okay? But he closed the hospital. And when AFSCME tried to go to bat for the workers, he slipped them some subsidies. And my mom, after 28 years on the job, is told, yeah, sorry, there's nothing we could do. Your 28-year seniority doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the sad reality of it, is that I don't think at a certain level, I think the union members care more about the union than the union cares about the union members.
I agree.
When I used to work in politics on political campaigns, and I always worked on Republican campaigns, what's interesting is that the way that we were able to win over a lot of union people on issues like the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
I mean, and so really if you get in front of a group of union people and really break the issues down for them, they're like, yeah, okay, that guy fits more who I am as an individual.
Of course.
But a lot of them are blinded because they are told from the beginning, you toe the party line.
Yeah.
It's all about loyalty. Again, guys, the unions created the Democrat Party. So for them to not support the own party that they created,
it's an honest question because it's just always been that way since I've been paying attention.
Yeah, when clearly their policies are destroying the unions.
Yeah.
So isn't it funny that Michael Moore, who is about as left
Yeah,
as
I'm
you
actually
can
kind of
get,
shocked by this,
who
actually.
is, I thought a card-carrying member of the Democratic Party, is sitting here. Even though Hillary Clinton is labeled Democrat, at the end of the day, she is as much a Democrat as a dictator in another country.
Right.
It's just in name only. You're only referencing old slogans and a forgotten memory of what it meant to have this two-party system, which wasn't even intended. We were
warned
supposed
against
to be a
actually.
republic, exactly.
Warned against.
Multiple parties. Not now we have it's a one-party system.
Yeah.
And there's just two arms of it, the left arm and the right arm. But they serve the exact same masters, the invisible government, the shadow government, the elite, whatever you want to call them. They're the banking powers behind most governments in the world. And that's where I think that when I see the smear on Donald Trump, and it almost seems like a reach, I do believe that he's not a straw man for the elite, but he in fact is the grenade that Michael Moore was talking about. Like he is a crimp in there. I mean, it's only we know that Clinton's soul is sealed, fate sealed. That is done. We just don't know for Trump. I believe FDR when he said nothing happens in politics by accident. So, I don't know if this is all a big stage or if this Trump running for president is a serious problem for them. Hence, we get ads on television. The pro-Clinton ad is really nothing more than
anti-Trump
a series of sound bites of Donald Trump over the last 20 years that basically make him come across like an ass. And if you took my
as someone who's edited an entire movie and edits videos, I mean, you could never take something out of context to make someone look bad.
Oh yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Impossible.
If I were recorded as much as any television personality is, even you could take what we have said just on this show, and turn us all into monsters.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and that is it is a magic act to the nth degree. Just, look at this diversion. This is the distraction. This is the meaningless information. Because who gives a shit?
And they're just
if our president is an arrogant ass, so what?
Well, we kind of need him to be a little bit.
Yeah. That's why, Tim Kaine, who's...
kind of need him to be a little bit.
Oh, I'll bend over. That's what you need me to do for me to keep my mansion and my family. Yeah, I'll do that. Fine.
Yeah, it's... For me, I get a little bit... After the anger kind of wears off and you think about this, and I think I sent this to you guys in an email. To me, it's so crazy, man. It's like you have the how did I word this? You have the I'll have to pull up the email because I don't want to mess it up.
What was the idea behind it?
The situation right now that we have, with the Bernie Sanders, the Hillary Clinton, the whole dynamic. I'll find it. It's here.
The rigged election outcomes, which have been going on for... I guess, are we really uncovering anything that's not...
I don't know.
known?
I don't know anymore.
Because
I'll know more on November 9th.
You look like you just want to jump out of here going,
I want to go to Mykonos early and just get hammered.
Well, Dave
here's what it is. That's what it was. It started off with the Evan McMullen email that you sent, right? This guy in Utah. Yeah. And I actually took interest in this guy beforehand.
He's a pip, huh?
Well,
he's running for office in like 11 states or something. Is
he's
this the guy?
He's a third-party guy out of Utah who's totally screwing up the election in Utah, right? So there's an article that goes by, you kind of outlined his background, right? He's a CIA guy, he's a Mormon, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That's CIA Mormon?
So, yeah, right. So he's totally, my opinion is...
So he's legit.
Well, and this is the email I sent back, and it's a little bit insulting, but I don't care. So I put my money is on the theory that he was funded / put there by the Romney folks. He's a total plant. And I'm not getting a very good feeling about this election. And I said, did you guys know that approximately 40% of the voters will actually have voted before the election, the date of which is actually mandated by law? And in light of the current status of, well, I put that pig's criminal investigation, sorry. I don't need to explain the implications of this. The tentacles go literally everywhere. And then I went on to say, this is the part I was trying to remember. Is like the morons that supported the Leninist, it's some of the same idiots that put the Marxist in office that we have now, are pissed he got screwed, so they jump behind the Trotskyite, all the while cheering on the same crap that Mao said, i.e. the stronger together mantra. It's the worst or best Twilight Zone's episode ever written. We have communists being cheered in our country.
Yeah.
When just how long ago we had people dying to defeat these people.
Yeah.
It's insane. It is and if anyone is if there's a mystery here, the Leninist is Bernie Sanders, the Trotskyite is Hillary Clinton, and the Marxist is Obama. In case anyone has an issue with that.
If anyone listening to our show doesn't understand which one's which, they should change the channel.
And if anyone's somehow racially offended by anything I said, I can't do anything for you.
I
got nothing for you.
You did just call a woman a pig.
Did I miss something?
Well, no, because Obama's in there, and she's a woman. So if anyone's offended by any of it,
he's a Trump supporter. So
I got nothing for any of you. So sorry.
Well, this Evan McMullen guy.
I think you should apologize for your hate speech. That's all I'm saying.
Never.
This Evan McMullen guy is, come on, you guys. I mean, he was born in 1976. Maybe I'm just angry because
He's 2
there's
years younger
a
than me.
political candidate or a presidential candidate that's younger than me.
Yeah.
But he was formerly chief policy director for the House Republican Conference in the U.S. House of Representatives, and he's also been a CIA operations officer, a volunteer refugee resettlement officer for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Jordan, as well as an investment banker.
Yeah, he's in
Now-
all the demonic institutions, the UN,
Exactly.
the CIA.
He's a
Just
Mormon.
dark.
So he's like a
all of a
4-star
sudden-
Satanist.
All of a sudden, right, exactly. And all of a sudden, he shows up August 2016. Boom, he's running for president, and he's almost carrying Utah.
Yeah.
Where did this guy come from?
Yeah, I think
right?
we know where he came from.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you
He's
if
not
you
only a
find out his
4-star
campaign
Satanist.
contributions, it'll be tied to some bank, which is an intermediary between this dude and the powers. that
Right
be.
out of Romney's
4-star
camp, dude.
Satanist, that's
I put my
Irish.
money
He
on
is.
that. He's right out of the Romney camp. That guy's a plant.
So why do you think Romney's doing it?
To toss the election.
Why?
Because he's still bitter.
Well,
about-
Romney, remember, Romney's
about
not doing it.
2012?
He just may be the puppet behind it. But it's not Romney's
think he's
idea. These guys aren't smart. They're following orders.
Yeah, well, you got to keep in mind too is it's more or less on some level, whether it's media, bankers, big time CEOs, business owners, all these people that are the top. They're in trouble if Trump wins, because the game's over if he's what he says he is. The whole lobbyist class, all this people, this is going to get all the... Can you imagine the corruption that we now know about, right? What we now know about. Can you imagine what it really is? That's just what we know about. What got dragged into the WikiLeaks,
Right.
discoveries, what is being brought out in investigations, etc. Can you imagine really how deep this stuff goes? Really? I mean, almost everybody's head is on the block at this point. I mean, the media is these organizations they're caught red-handed. Collusion, corruption, taking bribes, you name it. It's not a secret anymore. So this game will not continue if he's the real deal.
Well, so he's got to win elected, stay alive, not just for the inauguration,
Well, right,
but he's got to
that's
be
key.
around for at least a term, maybe a second term.
Yeah, but the good thing is that I don't know a whole lot about the guy, but he seems pretty solid. As if the backup plan is Pence, I don't think we're in bad shape.
See, I've actually heard. I've read a few things that were a little disturbing by some people that I trust very much that are credible. That Mike Pence is sort of like Ronald Reagan's George Bush, a last-minute addition to a ticket that was going in the wrong direction for the elite, and hence the plan to unseat Reagan by assassinating him, which was foiled ultimately. And I don't know enough about it, but apparently Mike Pence is a total pro-globalist.
I don't know about that. I've ever heard him. He seems to come across as a pretty solid conservative. But
I don't know if that's true or not, but that doesn't make any sense to me because knowing what I know about Donald Trump, I don't think he's not going to take anybody telling him who his VP nominee is going to be. So that doesn't make sense to me. But
yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I've just heard the guy talk, heard a few speeches.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about his record, and he seems
Now, on the face of it, I love the guy.
he seems okay.
And, he won me over when he had the guts to come out and say, I'm a Christian first, father second, Republican. Yeah, it's something along those lines.
Yeah, he even made a statement that I saw that said something to along the lines of, if we as a nation repent and ask forgiveness for our sins, God will heal our land, or something like this. Politicians don't speak this way. At least they haven't in a long time. And it's a little bit refreshing. I mean, if he really did say that, then it's not such a bad plan B.
Well, it could definitely be.
Who knows?
It's literally the odds of any one of 5 people being president between Obama, Clinton, Kane, Pence, and Trump. None of them are 0%. There's a probability to each one. All right, so before we take a break,
Who was the guy, the intelligence insider that just came out and admitted that there's a that there's basically a coup going on inside the intelligence agencies. Did you guys see that video on Facebook?
No.
There's a lot of guys coming out and saying
No,
that.
there's one guy in particular. I'm trying to find it to mention his name because the one thing I wanted to say was God bless WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
And God bless these people inside where their leaders are corrupt and telling them not to investigate these things and trying to give them diversions. God bless them
they did the right
for
thing.
having the courage to risk their lives, their families, their jobs,
Yeah.
and to put this stuff out there so that we have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Mark Dietrich.
No. I want to say his name was Chris something.
The guy I just mentioned was the guy that he was in charge of. I want to say it was a CIA library, and he was asked to destroy a bunch of information that he thought shouldn't have been destroyed, and he came out to talk about it.
Yeah, that was.
But there are intelligence officers defecting and speaking out against their
left
own
and right
agency.
because they do not want her. This guy says in the video, we are, there's a coup going on inside the intelligence agency because we do not want Hillary Clinton as president.
Yeah, the coup started in about 1948, 49, when Truman set up the CIA. And it's not like the JFK assassination was the coup. That was another step in this ultra slow-moving coup. It's been growing like a virus, and it's in its final stages before the U.S. goes terminal. But the masses are completely the masses, and that's changing. It's changing very quickly. Completely unaware of it. Completely unaware that our nation is about to go the exact same path of all nations throughout history, which is in a mere generation or two to go from affluence back into bondage.
Yeah. Well, what happens to a shark when it stops swimming? It dies.
It does?
It can't breathe. So if this comes to a halt, where are you going to go?
New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah.
Good luck.
I'm not going to New Zealand.
Got to get there.
I'm
You
going
got
to my basement.
I mean, it's just it's a scary thought, but we're literally that close. And before we go to break, one more thing that blows my mind is of all the things that these candidates are talking about, not once have I heard anybody bring up the one thing that's going to crush this nation and bring it to its knees, and that's the debt.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about national security, let's talk about that. How come they're not talking about this?
I think the first thing Trump should do in office is declare that debt unconstitutional, illegal, and order us to stop paying it, cut off our relationship with the Internal Revenue Service, which is, they're not federal employees. They're private employees of a private company, which has a bad name, has a deceiving name because it's called the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
But it's a private monopoly to print money for most nations. We've got, those guys need to be declared most wanted. Then you got to go and essentially arrest every TV news broadcaster.
Yeah, but you know how dangerous that is. You're going to tell China we're just not paying you back? You can't do that. They're going to call their debt, dude.
Well, this is where you need a deal maker, because
that's exactly right.
You've got to get China
negotiate
on board.
this.
Just go,
Exactly.
look, they're going to play us against each other.
Yeah.
Unless you and I coordinate, and then we coordinate with Russia, and we
Sure.
coordinate with all the big eight, the big dogs, that's 80% of the economies of the world economy right there, where they themselves will forgive cross debt, like they stop participating in this sham Ponzi scheme, which is what our economy is. It can only exist by growing. We are so brainwashed into thinking that growth is good. Growth is good. That's how they always judge everything. Oh, well, the economy.
If it's real growth, it is good.
Yes,
not if it's fake.
Look, on on a micro and a macro level, growth is dangerous.
I'll agree with that.
businesses don't go out of business because the phone doesn't ring. It usually goes out of business because the phone rings too much and they don't have enough cash to make things happen. They've got sales and orders waiting, but they don't have the money to. Growth can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
The resources needed. At the rate we're growing, we're drawing. I mean, all of our economy boils down to one product at the end of the day, and it's oil. It's energy. So this dynamic, this institution is, it's been sold to us that it must continue to grow. But from the perspective that it draws on a finite resource, oil, means the party will end someday without a doubt. And as you grow, you actually reach that day at an exponentially faster rate. Hence the moss over the lagoon metaphor, which for any new listeners, if it takes 30 days for a lagoon to be covered with lily pads, on what day is the lake or the lagoon half covered? What are your answers?
If it takes 30 days to get completely covered, when is it halfway covered?
Yeah.
Well, if the growth is linear,
And the
15
growth-
days.
It's not linear, though.
I'm sorry. The growth, the stuff doubles in size.
Yeah.
Well, this sounds like algebra,
So
I'm out.
it's on the 29th day.
Exactly. It's on
Yeah.
the 29th day. And on the 28th day, the lake is only 25% covered, meaning 75% of the resources, quote unquote, i.e. oil, they're still available. You don't see this threat.
Right.
I love when these politicians come out, we discovered some reserve, in XYZ, and, it's got 1,000 years of oil. Absolutely not. And if you're not sure about how our drawing on that finite resource, what it means for our society, go look up a guy named Albert Bartlett, University of Colorado at Boulder, who breaks it down beautifully. But at the rate look, those oil companies, they're not digging in easy places anymore. We're setting up platforms out in the ocean. As a business person, why go get something it's incredibly expensively that I could just drill for in my backyard? And let's understand that there probably is not as much oil in the world as we believe. In fact, whatever happened to this big scare in the 70s with Jimmy Carter, oil's going to be running low. He put solar panels on the White House. And
Yeah, we did okay with that, huh? We really rationed that oil out.
No, but here the
Hey,
thing
you
is,
stretched it out.
the thing is
Jimmy Carter, he was a Republican, right?
He's a lot smarter than we gave him credit
now,
for.
when he's making that prediction, he's not saying we're going to run out of oil in 2 years at 5 o'clock. He's like, guys, at the rate we're using it, our children are going to be dealing with this problem. Well, that's us.
Yeah.
And if you understand how far deception goes and how much the truth is kept out of the minds of regular folks like we are, it would not surprise me at all that the real status of the world's oil reserves and who are the oil companies?
Oh.
These are the same, the Rockefellers, J.P. Morgans. This is the Illuminati. And believe me, if they don't want the world to worry about being low on oil, they have absolute control over that message.
Dude, they're probably making oil out of Soylent Green. It's probably not really fossil fuel. It's people.
Soylent.
Well, it could be.
Yeah,
Charlton Heston
yes,
figures out we
yes.
were eating ourselves in a dystopian future.
The guy's name I was looking for, because I just spent the last half an hour trying to get far enough down my Facebook feed, and I've probably lost
I think
it.
the CIA closed down since you last brought this dude up.
God.
Who is it?
We're already in Hillary's second term. It's Steve Pieznik, Pieczzenik.
Not
Okay,
familiar to me.
It's a couple minutes. We're going to pull that up during the break because I want you to play that one too. This guy's awesome. And he's talking about the WikiLeaks feed, and he talks about the coup that's going on inside of our intelligence agencies right now.
I wonder if all revolutions are known by such a small percentage of the population, only to be written later by the winners. I mean,
well, I guess it really depends on what's on The Bachelor.
yeah,
They didn't have
Right.
The Bachelor in Colombia. If they had The Bachelor in Colombia, most people wouldn't even have known.
Let's take that break.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole. Okay, so we were talking about a video before the break, and Kenny spent, instead of standing outside and smoking and shooting the stuff with us, he spent his whole break getting this video up so we can play it. Thank you, Ken. This is a video entitled "The Hillary Clinton Takeover of the United States." And this is what I was talking about, where one of the people inside the U.S. intelligence agencies that are the second tier, their bosses are telling them, hey, man, don't do whatever you do. Don't investigate the Clinton Foundation for real. And this guy's tired of it. And so he came out, and I'm going to have Ken play the video real quick video for 4 minutes, and then we're going to welcome one of our buddies back and talk more election.
On November 1, 2016, Hillary and Bill Clinton and their entourage of assistants effected a civilian coup. In contrast to the usual concept of a coup where the military is involved and takes over the White House and communication centers, very much like the scenarios you see in a movie, this coup was done silently and very effectively through two methods: corruption and co-optation. The Clintons have been involved in co-opting our White House, our judiciary, our CIA, our Federal Bureau of Investigation, our Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, and our Director of the FBI, James Comey, for some time now. What they've done is to make sure that they were part and parcel of a group of people who were interrelated through political cronyism. However, in order to stop this coup, we in the intelligence community and others involved have informally gotten together, and with their permission, I am beginning to announce that we've initiated a counter-coup through Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. What has happened in effect when Comey had to open up the case of Hillary Clinton and discuss the emails that were involved with the Anthony Weiner case, it was not the case itself that was as important as the fact that this was the entree for many of us in the counter-coup to say to the administration, we have your number. Not only do we have your number, we're going to stop you from making Hillary the President of the United States. And at the same time, we will convict and indict the President of the United States, Loretta Lynch, and many others who were involved in the cover-up of the massive corruption that occurred under the Clinton Foundation. Now, in both cases, their coup was silent, and our counter-coup was silent, and it was all transgressed or occurred on the internet. And this is probably the first time in the history of any country where a coup was initiated through the internet and a counter-coup was initiated through the internet. I am just a small part of something far bigger than myself. It was the brave men and women who were in the FBI, the CIA, the Director of Intelligence, the military intelligence, and men and women in 15 other intelligence organizations who were sick and tired of seeing this corruption in the White House, in the Justice Department, and in the intelligence system. And we decided that there was something we had to do in order to save the Republic. So we initiated a counter-coup through Julian Assange, who's been very brave and really quite formidable in his ability to come forth and provide all the necessary emails that we gave to him in order to undermine Hillary and Bill Clinton. Again, America, we're going through a major, major transition and, quite frankly, a second American Revolution. We do not have guns. We do not have weapons. We do not intend to kill anybody. We do not intend to harm anybody. But we, the American public, and those of us who serve as veterans and in the intelligence service like myself, will stop the Clintons from assuming power that they don't deserve. At the same time, we will make certain that Obama leaves without any trail of a pardon or any other act of treason. In effect, we want a peaceful transition in this great American republic. I bring you this news, and I want you to understand what has happened. A moment of history is occurring right now in front of us, and I'm proud to explain it to you.
Now that was compelling, huh?
That's very interesting. So he's making the claim that the emails that WikiLeaks, they didn't hack those emails.
No.
They were provided those emails.
They were given to them.
And then claimed that it was some sort of, right. It was, everyone assumes.
Everyone assumes.
That it was hacked.
Everyone assumes, and the Democrats were the ones accusing of hacking. Well, how else did they get them? They had to hack us.
Right. That's
and they were, I mean, they've been accusing the Russians,
of course,
of hacking them for Trump because, I mean, he's basically, a Ruski now. I mean, the guy drinks vodka all the time,
well,
right?
that's also interesting because if Russia wanted anyone to be president, don't you think it would be the very individual that signed off on giving Russia 20% interest in uranium mining rights in the United States?
I would think.
Hillary Clinton is Secretary of State.
Except there's the possibility that Putin's the real deal.
No, I mean, they would want Hillary because she's their best friend.
Yep.
Interesting.
So I saw that, and I was blown away by that video.
That's interesting.
And the way the conversation went.
Emails that we provided him with.
Yeah. Counter coup.
That's awesome.
American Revolution.
That's awesome.
I want to play on a snare drum and get a fife. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, as long as, I know Photo will know where I'm coming from. I just, at this point, I'm kind of simplifying everything in my life. I hope that, the sun still keeps rising so I can at least try to break 80 next summer.
There you go.
That's kind of where I'm at, dude.
Well, I mean, you get your priorities straight. I understand
That's where I'm at, dude.
I understand that.
We'll hit some X golf this
week.
You
know it.
I'm totally good with, now I'm outnumbered completely, but I'm totally good with that as long as you don't make me watch it on television.
It's fine, dude. You don't have to. It's fine. I can't force you.
I will support you. I'll drive the cart.
I can't force
you.
You
don't want to watch us.
I can't force you to appreciate it. I can't force it. So
we mention him and he appears. Our good friend of the program. We got our buddy Photo back.
Well, he felt so strongly. Instead of calling, he got in the truck and
just like
sped
I had
to the station.
Show up for this,
so he's here.
The man is not here right now.
He'll be back.
He's taking care of some personal business at the moment.
He needs a coffee, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing. I was at work at lunch today, doing a little research, on the YouTube and checking out some videos. And I've been watching a lot of the InfoWars and Alex Jones.
Yeah,
and this and that. Which the dude's great, man.
Yeah,
he is.
Him and Owen Schroyer. That guy is just incredible when he's out on the street, doing stuff. And there was a video, and I'm watching it, and I wrote it down so I have it documented just in case they decide to censor or somehow this video just disappears from the internet, because how YouTube and Google and all that, they like to do that kind of thing. But I just want to say that in my hand right here I have
I can confirm he has
election
in his hand.
results.
Oh, do you?
For next Tuesday. The results are right here.
You heard it here first. Breaking news.
It's prophetic.
Breaking news.
Prophetic
I have
news.
them in my hand. And of course, if you've been watching, not really listening to the mainstream or actually listening to them, Hillary Clinton is going to win.
Yeah.
Not by a landslide, only by about 1.5 million votes. But the actual numbers are right here.
Huh.
And that would be...
Did you get those from NBC?
It actually did come from NBC.
Really?
And basically what it
funny.
comes down to is somehow on the NBC, actually all the ABC, they all have them. They've been sending out the prompts or the video or the I really can't think of the word that they use, but the prop that they're going to show on the screen on all these channels on election.
Yeah, the
night.
graphic. Yeah,
there you go. The graphic.
I saw that on Facebook.
The ink on paper guy. Yeah, he knows it's the graphic, and it has.
Well, there's a video word for it. Jennifer Champagne knows it. No one else does.
And it right there on the screen, 100% of the precincts reporting. It's done, over with. Hillary Clinton, 41,765,317 votes for a total of 345 electoral votes.
345?
345, which basically means she has to take Texas. Because isn't that a...
Well, she needs 270 to win.
Well, 270 to win.
273 is not that...
But Texas, isn't that about a 50 electoral votes type
California
of state?
is 53.
Texas is
It's up there.
Texas is up there,
but,
yeah.
But that's one of those swing states everybody's been talking about lately that she's going to take. But
somehow I have a hard time seeing Texas vote
right
for Hillary Clinton.
with her Second Amendment speech. I find it hard to believe that Texas
that's
is
what
going
I'm
to allow
saying.
her to win. But with that, Donald Trump has 40,124,438 votes for 195 from the Electoral College. And then
so the difference is only a couple million votes.
it's 1.5 million.
Well, popular vote. So
popular.
she
That's
smoked
the-
the Electoral College.
Right. And then
God, I hope
who's
you're
the
wrong.
who's the third party guy?
Gary
Gary
Johnson.
Johnson.
Gary Johnson pulls in about 8.3 million votes.
And 0 from the Electoral
And
College.
absolutely
Yeah,
zero
which
from
is
'cause
what
he
he
didn't-
which is what he should get.
Well,
What does Jill Stein get? Did you get Jill Stein?
Oh God.
no, that might have been under the other category that was there for about 1 million.
Yeah,
votes.
she's under the fire breathing
But I just found that
category.
I found that intriguing.
It is. That
You know,
that's
you look around.
Where did
and
you get that from?
that was on actually Alex Jones
Yeah.
posted a video, and the way it looked, man, it was about wherever he's at. I think he's out in Texas.
It's Texas.
It looked like it was about 2:00 in the morning, their time. He was staring at a They had two cameras.
Was there like a
going.
fire in the background, a campfire?
No,
Okay.
he was actually in his house. Was having some people over for dinner or what. And maybe it wasn't 2:00 in the morning, but the way they were acting, his eyes were all bugged out like he'd been up for 36 hours or whatever. Which I imagine he probably is nowadays. Well, I heard during that they're going to be on the air live for like 56 hours starting Monday till Wednesday during this whole process.
But where did he get that information?
It's actually been.
It was a leak, right?
Yeah.
We sitting at this table could actually. I couldn't because I'm not smart enough on the computer. But if you were to watch that video, they actually give you a link, a website that you could go to, and if it's not hacking because it's on there. You just need to know how to navigate.
It's like a backdoor into the website.
Exactly, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's
It's
a
a
backdoor.
hidden
And if you know
page.
how to navigate through the website, you can find this. And this was I don't know what city it was, but it was an NBC
Chattanooga,
site.
Tennessee, for WRCB.
There you go. The man with the computers got it.
Yeah.
Political activist discovered a hidden website for WRCB. And this one's close to my heart because there's a segment in this upcoming film where we talk about how absolutely controlled and pre-planned even local media is. And that's what this is. This is a local
Yeah, it's a small
NBC
station.
affiliate
Yeah.
that had in their website waiting in the wings to be presented under normal circumstances.
Yeah,
it looks like
Tuesday
on
evening, right.
election day, but the graphics were already made, and I see now the numbers where you got it. This looks like NBC is caught. In fact, this article that I'm reading right now, NBC is caught trying to sell the rigging of these elections, like conditioning us to accept the fact that Hillary
See
had
what
won.
Jill Stein got.
Wow.
God help
And
us all.
Yeah, and I would imagine if you were savvy enough, you could probably go through CBS,
And you know,
ABC,
these
and
people are
these websites and find the exact same graphics.
these people are so bold that I would not even be shocked at all if those exact same numbers
no,
get
I'm
posted.
expecting those
That's
numbers.
exactly why I wrote it down on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I wouldn't even.
That way
It
I
wouldn't
could
even be shocked.
hold it up to the TV.
Save that graphic to your computer, Dave,
and
just in
take
case
a
that
picture of
disappears.
it.
Yeah.
and be like,
See,
this was written 6 days beforehand or
Yeah.
5 days.
But it's just
Jill Stein,
coincidence.
4.6 million votes.
4.6. Nice.
Wow. Why?
Why? Did they show the ratio of men to women?
Is it
Any man
un-American
vote for Jill Stein?
You can't
Is it
label people by
un-American
gender anymore.
to
Oh, I'm sorry.
make fun of our elections?
No.
No,
Is that-
absolutely.
No,
not.
I think it's absolutely American to make fun of our elections.
Yeah.
Well, look, you're speaking to the choir. I agree with you, but an argument you'll get from people is, how can you be so un-American?
Because
come on,
because the
that's-
government has proven time and time again that they
Well,
are not trustworthy.
Well, free speech is actually American, so whatever your speech
Yeah,
may be,
until
like
they,
it or
until
not.
until they outlaw that.
Well, they already kind of do. But yeah, that's Oh, God.
That's kind
Thanks for bringing that down, Photo.
Man, you know, what in God's name is going on?
We'll find out in a few days.
Hackers also found a hidden backdoor into election voting machines where they can manipulate the results.
Well, that's been going on for a few days now, where there's a algorithm that they're using, and they break it down into fractions.
Oh, yeah, fractional votes, where they can do like 0.1, 0.9.
Right, round up, and
blah, blah, blah.
do whatever they want to
I would think that I'm not too worried about the voting machine so much. I'm more worried about paper ballots, and I'm really worried about alien voting. And I'm not talking about aliens. I'm talking about people who are here illegally and non-citizens.
Can you get an absentee ballot if you're from another planet?
Well, no, I'm talking about not aliens, not grays.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But actually, now they actually could vote because it's discrimination to make them produce an ID.
Right.
So, but really,
do they have hands?
When you register to vote, the only real check, and this is a fact, because they don't cross-reference it to data gathered by immigration. So when you go register to vote, there's just a checkbox. I am a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
Once you check that, you are in the system.
If you have a driver's license and an address,
you can just check the box.
Vote. Yeah.
And actually, in many states now, you don't even need to produce an ID.
Oh, no.
In fact, in Michigan, even last time around,
you do not.
You have to sign an affidavit.
Yeah.
But okay, I mean, let's face it. If you're here illegally or the PC undocumented, what do you care about an affidavit?
Well, yeah.
Especially if someone gave you $100 to go do it.
I mean, you're here illegally.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Well, that's my question. Is now Canton, where we're going to vote. Dave.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're going.
At the elementary school.
Okay, I go to a Catholic church.
Yeah.
Now, if I walk in there and just outright tell them I'm not showing my ID,
you have to sign. You have to sign an affidavit.
Okay.
That's Michigan law now.
But I know I have the day off that day. That's
okay.
Once every 4 years we get this day off.
Okay.
So to make our membership go out and vote.
Right.
They give everybody the
you're
day
bucking
off.
the membership. Dude.
Yeah, to make them go vote for the devil.
To go vote for Hillary.
Well, and they have come out and said that.
Yeah. Of
did,
course they did.
Did they call her the devil by name?
No, they didn't.
Oh, okay.
But they've come out and said that. Now, I kind of want to go early and make my vote and then kind of sit there and hope that a busload of people shows up.
Yeah.
So I can follow that bus to the next location.
That's going to happen is in the city where it's busy
right.
and it's not so obvious. But this does happen, and they've been doing it for 50 years plus. They actually admit to this. But that is my biggest concern is paper ballots because that's chaos. It's chaos.
Yeah.
I trust the machines more than paper ballots.
I agree.
Have you been? There's videos out there of that.
Hey,
that's what I'm saying.
In Westland, we vote paper, baby.
Of the video or the electronic ballots, and if you click the button for straight Republican ticket, it flips.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So
I think the biggest threat to our free elections, if you want to call it that, is and this is my opinion. It's probably could be substantiated with fact, but I think it's alien voting is probably the most dangerous thing because you literally have foreign interests that are participating in our elections. There's nothing in place to prevent this. In fact, if anything, they're actually going the other way and they're promoting this.
Yeah, they're sending people here.
Exactly, they're promoting this. That should frighten everybody. It should make everybody very concerned, and I don't really care about your feelings anymore. Yeah, if you're not a citizen, you should not be voting.
Well, and that kind
of
goes
Can we take
back
this down? 7:23 p.m. Dave,
Dave's on fire today. You guys notice that?
Yeah, I'm pretty.
See, he was.
Lately.
We got him wound up because he was like all laid back at the beginning of the show.
I can't help it.
Then I showed up.
Now we got him wound tight.
Now I got fuel. You put some catalyst in the reaction, and now it's taken off. That's okay. I kind of like the fire. I hope I don't ever really lose it.
That was a good thing when he came over
me too.
last week to the house, and the wife decides to. She's heard my spiel about it, and she decides to go, "Hey, Dave, who are you voting for?"
Yeah, and why?
And about an hour later, we were done with that conversation.
Yeah. That's an honest evaluation of that exchange.
If you want to fulfill your constitutional obligation to be a good citizen, this article talks about this is, and you probably read this photo, but this is the article that talks about how these machines are rigged and so easily manipulated to say whatever results the powers that be want them to say. So the article says, the way to fight against this widespread systemic fraud is to make public records requests for ballot images, which are taken at many polling places, even if the machine is computerized. Go in there with a USB stick the day after the election and say, I'd like all the ballot images on this USB stick. Thank you very much. And if they obstruct or say they don't have them, document it. Document that they have destroyed the key audit record that would authenticate the count. Now, where we go from there, unsure, but you were just talking about that Project Veritas, I think, was where they were bragging to their own future future rat fuckers, if you want to use a term out of all the president's men.
That was biblical, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
That was Woodward and Bernstein reference, if you guys caught it. But this Project Veritas, basically, they're in the business of manipulating elections.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, of discovering those who manipulate elections.
Well, they do all kinds of stuff. But they had that video on where they posed as big money donors.
It's insane.
And what was the topic? It was about getting them the $20 million so that they could support busing in.
Yeah.
It was for buses.
And that was what they said. We've been doing this for 50 years. We're not going to stop now.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. And I joked about this, actually, when all the voter ID stuff was being, how it's disenfranchising voters, it's discrimination to require ID.
Whatever.
I said, this is interesting. And I actually was just being sarcastic, but apparently I actually had their playbook in my mind and was joking about it, but it actually is true. You literally could go on a voting tour. And how long of time span is the election polling places open that day? It's like all day. So if you were in a region where 4 states butt up, how many counties could you get to if you had a bus load or bus loads of people in areas that have these rules in effect? You could maybe vote a dozen times. No one would know the difference.
Well, yeah, the polls are
as long as you were
it's a
fed
minimum
a
of 12
address.
hours.
That's all day.
I mean,
so
8
you
to
could
8, maybe even 10 o'clock at night.
As long as you were fed an address that works within that district. Because all they do in my district is you sign an affidavit, and then you tell them who you are, and they look down. They're like, "Oh, you live there?" Yeah, and then they X you out. They put a ruler down and cross you out.
Yeah,
and that's what happens when you vote in Westland.
Well,
so, I mean,
it'd be hard to throw an election using that method alone. That's a lot.
Well, that's just a piece. That's just a piece of it,
right? I don't think that
but you compile all this together.
So look, these guys. This is the they. We're talking about they now.
Yeah.
They're in control of the media, vast parts of our military, the government. You get the whole picture. Regardless of what the vote count is on Tuesday, I wouldn't be surprised, and it sounds like we're seing clues leaked out accidentally.
I think we know what the vote count's going to be.
Well,
I just told you what it was.
So what's how's this going to – how is Donald Trump going to ever – look, even if he really does win the election for real – what is broadcast on the news and the momentum of our lives, our government will move in the direction of, the news tells us she's president. Well, then she's president. And
right.
How will that be combated?
Wednesday morning, there's a civil war.
Well, I think I brought this up before, and I believe it was Stalin who confronted some concern about an election. He said, "Don't worry about it. It's not the voters that decide the outcome.
Counters.
It's the people who count the votes."
Yeah, that's a good one.
And as much of a dirty bastard as he was, he's right.
Yeah, look, what we have seen these people, what they're capable of doing, is nowhere near as egregious as voter fraud. So I'm sure that's something that.
Oh, that's.
But
minor.
I'm not talking about
voter fraud. Yeah, that's like
to them. That's.
Well,
this is not like getting a couple extra 100 votes, and I'm talking about changing history type of.
Yeah, they just define it. whatever the real outcome, they just say it was this.
You've seen the guy from Texas, the director of elections. They had a couple, guy from InfoWars again was standing there at the bottom of these stairs at the Capitol building. And they're velvet roped off so you can't go up the stairs or whatever. He's just kind of sitting there. He's got his microphone and his cameraman's there. Well, this director, I can't recall his name offhand right now, but he kind of comes down the stairs and this guy jumps right on him and was like, "Hey, I want to ask you about the they're talking about the ballot switching and this and that and the rigged election and all this." And all he does is throw his hands up and he turns around and walks right back up the stairs. Says about 2 words throughout the whole thing and goes back upstairs. And the guy's just like, "You don't want to combat the rigged election issue?" And he didn't say a word. And now this was probably a week, 2 weeks ago. Now they actually have a state trooper sitting in a chair stationed at the bottom of these stairs. So nobody can talk to him now. The guy is nowhere to be found.
Because they wouldn't put
He's
anybody in there
hiding
to
up
make
on
sure that the elections were properly counted. They want to stop people from
harassing that guy.
From harassing that guy.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to answer any questions about this. And this goes back to the if you what we were just talking about. You wake up Wednesday morning to go to work and you see Texas as a blue state.
Stop
on
it.
the electoral map.
Impossible. Stop it.
Something is definitely,
of course,
definitely wrong.
And and this is another concern is like if it's that blatantly rigged, right? What are people's reaction? What do you think people's reaction is going to be to this?
Wednesday morning, Civil War.
No, I think it's going to be freaking apathy.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think I kind of tend to agree with that.
They're going to wonder what's on The Bachelor.
They'll probably just be like, "Who cares? Whatever." We'll get 4 years.
Like, oh, wow,
There'll be like a week's worth of outrage.
Yeah,
and then
I think
everybody's going to go back.
There'll be a bunch of morons
I tend to agree
celebrating.
with
A bunch of morons. Oh, Hillary, women's rights.
Yeah, all the millennials that are in college will be celebrating.
Yeah. We're going to get some free stuff.
They don't even know what they're voting for. These poor people.
No, they're morons.
They really don't. I mean, it's sad.
I was actually talking to someone, a millennial, and we were having a conversation about it. They couldn't believe I would vote for Trump. And my
Did you
initial
say I can't believe you're going to vote for Hillary?
Well, my initial thing was I can't believe you say you know me and you're shocked.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it, and she's like, "Well, what about the borders?" I'm like, "What about the borders?"
Yeah, we still have them.
No. Listen, no. Well, what about tighter border control?
What about it?
What about it? And she's like, "Well, Hillary's for tightening out the border."
Oh,
No.
please.
Hillary's for abolishing the borders,
dissolving it.
This is someone who will not vote for Trump because he said derogatory thing about a woman 11 years ago, and she thinks she's making our country more sovereign by voting for Hillary.
Oh my God, it's so terrible. Well, it goes to show you the level of deception. I mean,
I could go to Brazil and not show an ID the whole way there.
Dude, it won't happen because Brazil will maintain their borders.
Right, Brazil will stop you.
Just like Mexico is putting up a wall in Central America to keep Central America from going into Mexico. So, it's, oh, God.
That's what you hear about down in them Central American areas. There's billboards that tell them to come to the United States. There's free money.
Well, they actually do that. They actually have TV commercials that will outline all the government programs available. And another scary thing is that there's been reports that the border is literally getting flooded with people who want to get here before Hillary wins because they know that amnesty is on the books, dude.
Yeah, they say they're so overworked down in Texas right now. It's just unbelievable.
They have now, last I checked, that's being reported anyway, upwards of 8,000 to 10,000 people being caught at the border that are from places like Iran, China. Way far away, man. Like, how do they even get there? But they're coming up through the South. If amnesty happens, and what's today? November 3rd, 2016, I said it here.
Now, what do you mean by amnesty in this case?
They'll just make everybody who's here legal, it's fine. Free citizenship like it's frickin' popcorn, all right? And you can't hand out citizenship like it's popcorn. There's reasons why that's a bad idea. Take a long time to explain it. But what I'll say right now is if there's blanket amnesty, this country is over. America's dead. It'll kill it. It'll kill it so quick. We will have no country left.
Well, then what you're saying is we've got to get the people that are here now out?
Well, not necessarily saying
you're
that.
talking about
but
the surge.
You
that
cannot just grant amnesty. You can't do it. Because they will say there's, 13 million or 15 million. Or I think the real number is closer to 50 million people who are here illegally, not documented, et cetera, et cetera. Because keep in mind, all these benefits, these expanded, left-wing programs that are so great, will get afforded to these people. And once you do that, that's going to break the camel's back, dude.
At the cost of everybody at this table because they
that's
work
right.
for a living.
Because it's only the middle that pays for all this stuff, mind you. So, and again, you can't subsidize everything. So this is
well,
this
we
is
are
a big
somewhat
problem.
of a welfare state.
We are.
When FDR came out with all of his New Deal programs, we had an average of 17 money earners for every one person on welfare. So that's mid-1930s. 70 some years later, it's 3 employed people are now
right
for every person
Yeah.
on welfare.
I thought you were going to say it was one person supporting 17.
No,
well,
we're not
and
there
it
yet.
will be that way. See, this is the problem, right? If all these benefits are being extended,
Well, if the Illuminati's new world order happens, it will be one it'll be one elite person that is supporting thousands.
yeah, a welfare state cannot exist without borders. I mean, this is just
That's a good. I mean,
it cannot. So once this happens, and she will do this, guarantee it, because again, with the United States stays intact even in some remnant form of what it used to be, kind of puts this weird roadblock against this New World Order agenda. It really does, because we're resistant to it for the most part. But once you do that, you will now have a permanent voter block that will always vote left.
Yeah, they talk about redistricting and all that.
Oh, it will
that
happen,
has
dude.
nothing to do with the illegal count or the undocumented count.
Again,
or
they can...
the people that they're just going to grant, citizenship to that have done nothing but come here illegally, break laws across probably multiple countries to get here, and just go, oh, well,
so you guys, I'm going to be devil's advocate here. Is this being done by design by the elites, or is this an accident of?
No, this is the Democratic agenda, and it has been for the last. What, 6 terms?
Yeah, because it's gotten really bad now.
I mean, they figured out, they had to get Reagan out of, they had to get Reagan's people out of power.
Thus the assassination.
And so all that stuff started to happen under Bill. And then we had a little hiccup. I don't know. Bush got in there for a couple, and that's because he's really
but he was
Republican.
those guys are amnesty guys too.
I know, but I'm just saying the party flip, But they realized where they went wrong, and what have they been doing? But flooding us with illegals since the. I mean, look at the numbers since 9/11. The Muslim immigrants that they're bringing in here, and then the illegal undocumented workers that they're allowing to have, free reign.
Yeah, and it's not, and again,
I think it's by design. They have realized how to defeat the establishment, because these people are going to vote for the people who are giving them stuff.
But this is another thing that I just can't get and maybe I'm just, if you are, say, coming from Venezuela, and I use Venezuela very much on purpose because you see what's happening in Venezuela right now. This is a real-time example
of socialism done right
of how these policies fail. So if you are coming from Guatemala or Honduras or Venezuela, and you come here, and then your efforts are to make this place like the place that you just left, what the hell is the point? And again, I'll go back to what I said before. If this is somehow racially offending anyone, I got nothing. I can't help you. Because this has nothing to do with race.
No.
This is really mostly about economics. And really political. I mean, think about it. If you come from a place that like Cuba, and then you're going to come here and put a bunch of leftists in charge and expect that this utopia will work.
Right.
You know, what the hell was the point? Just stay where you are. It's
Yeah,
less
but-
work. It's already there.
But they're out of stuff.
It's already there.
They're out of stuff there.
Well, that's a good point.
So they want to
No,
come
they
here
got
and
our
get
old
stuff.
That's a good point.
They got our old stuff. Because they love like 57 Chevys.
Yeah, but they
and
want
stuff
our
down
new
there.
stuff.
I just don't get it, man.
But
I
we don't have
get
any new
it.
stuff.
I don't
It's
get
new
it.
to them.
You'd think they would say, no, we reject that. We just want to be free.
What you're discounting too is the people coming from this country. What's the first thing they control, which is the educational system. So these people are not educated. They're not taught to think free.
You know what, though? I would bet, and I would bet money on this, that most Cubans, and I use Cuba on purpose, are voting for Trump. I would put money on that. You know why? Because they really understand
Yep.
communism.
Oh yeah, they totally get it.
And they left there for a reason. I really think that Cubans are probably really dialed in. I bet that they get it and that they are looking
I would
at...
tend to agree with
They're
that.
probably looking at the United States going, hey, guys, what in the hell are you doing to
Yeah.
your country? We just floated on a refrigerator door and lost 3 cousins on the way to get here, and now you want to make this place like that place. I bet they're that dialed in. I would put money on that. I don't really know any Cubans, but I'm just guessing. Giving them a lot of credit. Maybe they...
I would tend
Maybe,
to agree.
but I think that's probably accurate. It's sick. It's a sick world that we live in. My God. God help us all.
Yeah.
He's the only one who can.
God help us all, man.
You're right about that.
All right, so this is our last chance to make a formal prediction. What are we going to be
Oh
hearing
no,
on
no,
the,
no, no, no! You're not,
What are we
you're
going
not
to be
getting us on
hearing
the
on the
prediction
news
trade.
Tuesday?
Dude, I'll tell you what I pray for and hope for is that I watch that come in and by some miracle, and it's not because I love Trump. Trust me, my pom-poms are dusty in the closet, have
I
been
agree.
collecting dust for years. I'm not a cheerleader for Trump, but I pray that I see him win because then maybe we have a shot. Just a chance is all I'm asking for. But the cynical, sadistic me thinks we're going to all watch Hillary win.
This is a question I have, and I've said this a couple times today.
Oh, it makes me want to vomit just saying that.
Well,
Sorry.
Right.
I threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Now, me and Dave are from Canton. Kat, you're what? Farmington? Northville. Dave, you're St. Clair Shores or Grosse Ile.
We're all Michigan
and all
folks.
that. Right. Well, it's an area thing. Now, in Canton, driving around, I've been working in Ann Arbor the last months, and then now I'm in Livonia. And I drive around a lot of streets, and I have not seen one Hillary Clinton sign
Yeah, I've seen a few.
in anybody's front yard.
Couple.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
Not saying
Northville.
that every one of those houses has a Trump sign, but there are definitely more Trump signs than Hillary signs. But what tops that all is the local government. Those things are everywhere.
Yeah.
They're on every corner.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. But I have yet to see one Hillary Clinton sign in anybody's front yard.
We
Now,
brought that up last week. I actually saw
I've
a
seen a
couple
few.
this
Seen
week.
some.
Okay,
Yeah.
But
I've
it's
seen a few.
a couple.
it's noticeable by its disparity.
Yeah.
10 to 1.
Signs.
Yep.
A-
Yep.
absolutely.
10 to 1.
Facebook
So-
is 10 to 1.
Yeah.
So to watch the results come in on Tuesday evening, and for her to
Win.
have the popular vote is just asinine. to
Yeah,
me.
I think it's a ridiculous
I don't see
notion.
how it can happen.
These
I
are the same
don't see
people
it.
that knew Building 7 was going to fall several hours before. I mean, they're
Yeah.
magic. They
Yeah.
know what's going on.
I don't believe that President Obama even won the last election, okay? So this should come as a shock to nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, I really
I know.
believe Mitt Romney won the last election.
I know.
But in the grand scheme of things, why does that matter? If the elite own both parties, why do we care
Because
who
the
won,
elite doesn't-
Romney or
because the elite
Obama?
doesn't own Trump.
because the man.
Well, that's
This is different.
Yeah.
That
so.
we
Have
know of.
they done all of this?
Well, I mean, you gotta take a
in
chance, right?
preparation that someday there may be a candidate that really bucks the establishment. In which case, we're going to need to employ all of these little tools and mechanisms to throw. And
in my opinion, I think we have him right now. He snuck in under that ticket, and we talked about this
Yeah.
last week. He's actually part of the Reform Party. in cahoots with Jesse Ventura and the people of those likes. You know, he's a third party guy, but somehow he was able to finagle the system and get enough votes, and because he knew that he could not get in any other way.
Party.
As a third party, you're not going to do it. The guy that had the best shot at it was Ross Perot, and he was not even
Shut
close.
down.
Not
Shut
even
down.
close.
Yeah.
Well, he was close enough.
He
That
was
the
shut down.
CIA
Well,
sent him a warning saying your family's in danger
But
if
they're,
you don't get out of
going
this race.
going over the numbers I saw you know, the third party, you're never going to get any. You're not going to get that 270 electoral
Never.
votes.
And first of all, how do we even
You'll be lucky to
trust
get one.
the election results of 1992 with Ross Perot? Maybe he did win.
I
we
again,
wouldn't
right?
even know.
Yeah.
It made me think about that today because I was listening to the radio
But
and
this is getting to my point. Why all the effort in election rigging if you own the mainstream media? Well, who cares? Because you're gonna. I mean,
that is a good point.
Why? That's what I'm trying to understand. Why all this?
Well, I think they need to maintain the illusion of a
Why-
free election.
Not to mention, I think the people have finally had enough.
Well, the illusion,
Not enough
right?
of 'em.
We're losing that illusion as all of these little tools get uncovered. The bussing in of voters, the aliens being given, free passes to vote, the voting machines that are rigged. At the end of the day, can anyone tell me who in this country whose job it is to make sure those results are right? We don't even know that person's name. We're going to go to what the mainstream media says, and whatever they come out with, you're finding those pre-prepared graphics not a surprise from my perspective, because when they're doing something, they are ready, because before anyone has a chance to breathe or ask a question, the story is just shoved down your throat like it was. So why all the rigmarole
It all starts with the city clerk. It really does. It all starts with your city or township or county clerk.
And it ends there because a city clerk. How much? So he gets together with all the city clerks.
No. What happened? Like on election night, what happens is as these votes are coming in, the city clerk then turns those results over to the county.
Right. Yeah,
You know
every
what I mean?
district is
And
self-policing.
Right? Exactly. So
Yeah.
it is.
It's on the local level.
I mean, I got chewed out by a congressman one election season because I didn't get to the Westland City Hall fast enough to get some of the results that were coming in. A congressman called me and chewed me out on the phone. I mean, it all starts at the local level.
Yeah.
And goes forward. But I think you're onto something. I want to stick with this. I want to know, why would we go through all the trouble to rig an election if they own the media? Why wouldn't they just go, well, this is, unless, I mean, some of the people, like my mother used to be a volunteer
The
at the
question
polls.
itself is the answer.
Well,
They go through it so that if we question it, you say, well, why would we go through all that?
the people still think that the popular vote actually counts as something.
Oh, that's
You know what I mean? We go
Yeah.
back to 2000. In the state of Florida, and that we could have had Al Gore in there.
Yeah, wouldn't that have been awesome?
And then they said, well, no, that's
Too
just
soon.
not going to work.
Too soon.
That is not going to work. We're
Too
gonna
soon,
have
guys.
to
Too soon.
Finagle this a little bit.
We got to wait till 2016 to go that far.
All right, so I want to go back to something you said, and I want to. I'm throwing this out there for anyone, but Dave, you're the first person I'm asking here. You said you're going to be watching this election, nervous. You've got anxiety about this, like no election before, and I totally understand that. How will your life change if based on the outcome of the election?
TBD. It's to be determined.
Give us some rough general idea of the differences in your life if Hillary Clinton is, escorted into office versus Trump. How does it manifest in your life? Do you just walk around in a worse mood for 4 years?
Kinda.
Did you start
No,
piling
I
up
think
food supplies? I mean, how does it manifest itself?
That's I probably would. That's not so far fetched. I probably would be a little bit prepared and watch a little closer with a different set of lenses now. I mean, whereas I would be a little more hopeful if Trump got it. Now, he could be a nightmare, don't get me wrong. He's a little bit protectionist on trade. I don't agree with him there. Certainly not totally a conservative. There's issues with Trump. But it's at least I might be a little excited with some of the stuff that may go down.
So is all we're talking, and I'm being devil's advocate
Yeah.
here, because I think a lot of people suffer over this. This has definitely been a question on my mind. So is all we're talking about then is the level of hope you're going to have for the future?
Well,
is that really what?
No, I think that's simplistic. I think
substantial, tangential.
I think the real fear I have is that you're going to see systematically through political appointees, through expanded bureaucracy. You're going to see an attack on the Second Amendment, followed by an attack on the First Amendment, followed by an attack directly on the church.
Yep.
You're going to see a flood of refugees, quote unquote, from the Middle East, who will be, again, pushing something they're leaving, which is insane to me. But things like Sharia law and these concepts, and they're really looking to break us down. And I think you're going to start seeing these things happen. And I think I'll just be tuned in even more than I already am on things that are going on. If I see something, I'm going to be more ready. I mean, that's for sure, because I'm expecting it.
Yeah, for me personally, if Clinton is enshrined into office, I'm basically looking at the world. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be no fun at parties because I'm going to be expecting to be living in a third world country by the end of her first term. Devoid
never
of...
going to happen.
Not
What?
far off.
She's not going to, she won't be there. Will not. It's not going to happen. It'll be.
I hope you're right.
It'll be going back to what you said 2 months ago. She will be indicted. She will be.
Oh, so it'll be
something.
It'll be some.
She is not.
It'll be some kook. I mean, whether it's her or Tim Kaine or whatever, it's going to be some.
She will not raise her
frothing at the
right
mouth
hand and become the president of this country. It will not happen. I just can't see it happening especially with what's gone on in the last couple of days.
Nothing surprises me.
With Comey and the WikiLeaks and the emails, and I just cannot see it happening. She has been brought up and she's been put there thinking she's going to make it, but it's just I don't see it happening. And I think the bigger puppet is her vice president. He's the one. If it does get to where he's actually been, set up, and then she's indicted, and
so that's a prediction.
Well, it is. I'm not gonna,
All right.
That's just the
What
way
day
in
in September
I
do you predict that happens?
September. Oh wait, next year or this year?
It'll
Wait a
be
minute.
December.
Anyone else's life materially will be affected, like the way they live it, what they're doing, what their career path is. Will it be affected by this election?
I think everybody's will. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping that the house I just bought, I will not have to make a mortgage payment
You might have got lucky
because the system will be gone.
You might just be squatting at this point.
Exactly.
Well,
I'm there.
You might need to fire on some repossessors.
Yeah,
and
if that even is that organized at that point. I mean,
these people are very organized.
Well, I mean, but it's
possession is 9/10 of the law.
They're not going to be coming to take your
People say that,
house.
but what does
They're
that
going to be
even
coming
mean?
to take you. You know what I'm saying?
They're not going to want my house.
But even on a simple level, peaceful, simple level, which won't end up peaceful, just keep in mind, I mean, everybody really has to remember this, that with no changes, none, with the status quo, at a minimum, everybody's health insurance premiums next year are going to go up at least 25%. In some states, over 100%.
I'd put it at about 100%.
It's on average, it's 25.
That's
this is coming out of
proven.
their own... The CBO is reporting this now, so it's not even.
Which
I
means
know-
it'll probably
It
be
could be
twice
more.
that.
So
know-
at least 25%.
I know people in North Carolina that have already gotten notices saying that their premiums as of January are going up from $800 to about $1,700 a year.
Right. So it's actually working exactly how it was designed to work, which is it was designed to fail, and then we are going to be pushed closer and closer to a single payer system, which means we literally have no system.
You have no say. You have no choice.
You are. It's.
So I'm with you. She will help fulfill the agenda of the shadow government, which
of George Soros.
It's
Agenda
again,
2030.
He's just
man.
a player. People throw out these names. These guys are not. They're not the master puppeteers behind the scenes. They're just the rewarded faces of a very evil cabal, and they use rewards like money and fame to get these folks. I do think that if Clinton is elected, the chance of there actually being a civil war in the United States is higher than it's ever been since literally
The actual Civil War.
Since the actual Civil War. I think that even Putin knows that if she's elected, I'm going to have to go to war with the United States. Whereas if Trump's elected, he's acknowledged that there could be peace between us. Like I'm looking at a nation that if she is truly in office, there will either be a civil war that is out to protect our First and Second Amendments specifically. You'll see militias banding together. There will be an answer to this media snow job, I suppose. And I think we'll be living in a third world country. And I think a lot of people, a lot of preppers, there's a lot of labels out there. It'd be a good time to own stock in prepping companies because these guys are going to clean up.
And bullets.
And I think rightfully so. It's going to be the people that are going to be able to live without power for 6 months minimum that are going to be the ones that have a chance and defend that storage.
Yeah,
that are going to have a chance because
whatever goes down by the time you guys hear us next, I'm sure we will
only
be
got 2
bemoaning
cases of water.
We will be bemoaning who the next president is. So we got to get out of here. It's been down the rabbit hole.
Hillary
Go out
for president.
and vote.